Today's trip is to a 300-year-old nature reserve on the east coast of the Emirate of Sharjah, known as Kalba. Now, ancient locations laced with incredible history are hard to pass when living in one of the fastest modernizing countries, and we don't let any opportunity pass by. So today, we decided to take you to the Kalba Mangrove Center. This is Irfan.
And this is Khazar.
We are two lads on a quest to explore the hidden marvels of the country and ones that everyone is talking about, and put it out there for you.
But don't just take our word for it. Come with us.
Driving straight on the Maliha Road until it becomes the Sharjah Kalba Road on Google Maps, and then continuing for another hour or so through the winding highway running between the mountains, we finally hit Kalba. A couple minutes more through the ongoing road enhancements and we arrive at the Kalba Mangrove Center. Tickets are 15 dirhams for adults and kids under 12 go free, which is very generous of Sharjah. From there you park your car and a golf cart escorts you over the bridge until you reach the visitor center. This attraction was inaugurated as recently as April this year and is still unknown to the masses. Inside the visitor center, we were guided towards all the attractions and also handed fact booklets about the place and its inhabitants. To start with, this place wasn't always like this. It was losing its touch when finally the leader of Sharjah decided to seal it off to public in 2012 and let nature do its thing. The difference in 9 years is clearly portrayed in these plaques right at the entrance. In the wise words of John Hammond, these creatures don't need our protection, they need our absence. Jurassic Park fans will get the reference. Moving on, the visitor center is an air-conditioned enclosure with a welcoming feel. Scattered around are seats to hang out, a restroom and a prayer area, and the hallways are littered with interesting and informative exhibits of local flora and fauna, and of course my friends. There are 3 parts of this complex: above the tide, under the tide, and an outdoor area. In above the tide, you can witness the wildlife that prefers to live in the shallow depths of the salty marshes, or right on the boundary, switching between the wet and dry when needed. You'll come across different species of crabs and fish. Now, this place is not just a glorified zoo. It also raises awareness of how significant this ecosystem is for the environment. For example, these 300 years old mangroves alone are UAE's biggest contributor to the fight against climate change, and the threats to its survival are also highlighted, which is none other than plastic waste caused by humans. Under the Tide showcases what lives in the depths over here. Both the enclosures mimic the creatures' natural living and lighting conditions, including the mangrove tree branches, to make them feel at home away from home. Dozens of different, beautiful, vibrant fish species pacing around in huge water tanks. Some tanks are dedicated to the special creatures which you wouldn't expect to come across in UAE. Some of the worthy mentions here are the sea cucumber, the very intimidating sea urchin, big pillowy starfishes, and very innocent looking snails with a vicious hunting tactic. This snail latches its trunk, if I may call it that, onto a shell, and a special acid from its tongue will dissolve a precise hole like that of a drill to get access to feed on what's inside. Next time you come across a shell that looks like this, you know what did that. You'll also get to see the skeletons of these animals on display. Before moving to the outdoor area, we also found a quaint coffee shop which should suffice your snacking needs. On the trail outside, the first thing is the Green Turtles Pond, where we came across 2 turtles, a big and a small one, and right next to it, which I thought were 3 hot tubs for the visitors, but they're probably for the turtles too. This follows into a massive garden area where you can enjoy a hearty picnic accompanied by a children's play area. And this is where we found sand gazelles roaming free. Now I'll take you to their viewing spot, but you'll see them wandering about in the park here and there. The trail moved towards an aviary where you can watch coastal birds in action. Among these you'll find the sooty gull, the black-crowned night heron, common black-headed gull, and the grey heron, perched on rocks and trees and occasionally taking a dip in the ponds to cool off. Outside the aviary is the sand gazelle feeding station, which you can enjoy from afar. Some just stop by to enjoy a rest in the shades, but you'll mostly find them here in herds. There's another special bird which has its own aviary, and that is the Arabian collared kingfisher. This brightly colored bird is only known to breed in the Khorfakkan mangroves and is considered to be endangered, which is why it is highly protected. From there, it's a walk across the bridge which leads you straight to the mangrove trail. Now, this experience is alien to those living in UAE and feels quite surreal. A winding wooden path moving through the 300 years old mangrove forest. An interesting fact here, this path was built such that not a single tree had to be uprooted in the process, which explains the turns and twists. Along the path are two bird hideouts from where you can witness flocks of birds when they are migrating in winters. Since there were no birds to watch now, we simply stayed inside for a couple of minutes as the narrow windows funneled air onto our faces, and it was refreshing in the scorching afternoon heat. Now you see those spikes underwater? These are nothing but the roots of the mangrove trees which have dug out to the surface to breathe. It is high tide right now, and they're completely exposed to the air during low tide. I also went out of the suggested trail path to do some wildlife photography of my own, and that is where I met Mr. Crab under the bridge. My venture was soon interrupted by a guard shouting at me to stay in on the path. Well, that is pretty much it for the Khorfakkan Mangrove Center. We headed back towards the picnic area, from where we were escorted in the golf cart to our car park across the water. Now, when you witness so much amazing examples of creation in one day, you just can't help but contemplate the majesty of creation of the Almighty. If you've already been here or are planning to, let us know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. That's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button below and share the video with your friends and family. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe to Lads on Quest and turn on all notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos. We've come to the end of today's quest, and now on to the next.